Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of HEATSOAKED Podcast.
What's up, guys? Chris. I grew up in the Florida tuner culture here, where the air is thick and the roads are flat. Everyone swears their car only needs one more part. I don't believe you. Welcome to Heat Soaked.
Wow, that was really good. And I'm KT, so I am your co-host. What are we? What is this, Chris?
Let's see. Man, this is a podcast about the times that we grew up in, the nostalgia, the fun. Honestly, the Florida heat. Basically, if you're raised in Florida, you know that dyno numbers are optimistic, traction is optional, and horsepower is seasonal. Like, we're always going to be sweating our asses off, working on cars and racing them. But guys, this is Heat Soaked. This is the podcast where we're going to talk about all that fun, all those fun cars.
Yeah, we're going to get into your Skylines, your Silvias, your Supras, your Miatas. We're even get into Maxima.
God, the only time someone should get into Maxima is to crash it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's talk about it, guys. This is the podcast for you if you grew up working on cars on forums, trial and error, and honestly blowing an engine in the Florida heat. This is the podcast.
This is your 90s, 2000s tuner car culture podcast. We're gonna have fun doing it, and we're gonna do it with a little bit of Florida style.
Yes, if you built a car in your driveway, lost a 10mm forever, and burn yourself on a seatbelt at any point in time, this is the podcast for you guys. So talking about Florida twist, right? Everyone knows that we're sweating our asses off down here. Let's talk about how did you get into cars? Everyone has this conversation where we all have different experiences and different things that we fell into. Some of us kind of grew up around cars, grew up wrenching, grew up with parents who worked in the garages. Some of us, man, have that GTA logic, right? Take parts, ignore consequences, respawn at the next paycheck, crashing into everything. If you didn't have that life where you had a brand new car growing up, but you got into cars, this is where we can get back into the nostalgia of, if everyone remembers that PS1 game that we all love. Let's talk about Gran Turismo. Let's bring that back to that car culture.
Yeah.
point.
So how did we get into cars? And this is the whole reason why Heat Soak exists. How did I get here? So for me, it was video games.
Yeah.
One of my earliest memories revolving around cars was video games. Just being like a 6 or 7-year-old sitting on the floor with a PlayStation, with a controller 6 feet away from the actual TV. I remember playing Gran Turismo. That was really like the first game that did it for me. And as a kid, you don't really know much, right? So it's a screen, and I'm driving some sort of metal pixelated box with 4 wheels. But all I know is, like, this is fun. And
Absolutely.
that box looks cool.
Oh man, what is this tag? This thing that's the weird little symbol that keeps going up and down, man.
What are these like really cool noises that are happening right now?
It's like the age of growing up as a guy, right? Like, everyone knows that first time that you woke up and something was harder than it should have been. And it's a big lie that everyone told us that. And Gran Turismo told us, I think, the biggest lie of all is that if we bought parts in the right order, our car would be fast and reliable. And in real life, like, it was like a effect where it said, "Hey, congratulations, you've unlocked overheating." So it's one of the things that I think back then, you're right. I look back on. So for example, Gran Turismo made us do license tests. If you remember that, and in real life, as we took it, like, that was a flashback for me that I really enjoyed, because in real life we did it and they just handed it to us and was like, "Hey, good luck, don't crash." Like, I think that's it's a memory. Me, playing with my older brother, watching it down when I was, same age, like 6 or 7, and us, fighting over it. Clearly I'm losing, but if I get him in a headlock and choke him out, it's game over for him.
Yeah.
And I'm good on, man. That's, I think Gran Turismo, growing up watching him play, playing with my favorite cars, kind of working on it, learning how and what equals more power. Because as we all learned very early on in Gran Turismo, more power,
Oh
more
yeah.
speed, the better chance we got, and that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. So Chris, tell me what was the car in Gran Turismo for you?
Ah, man, this is a question I knew you were gonna ask. Gran Turismo, man, it had to be the Supra.
Okay.
It had to be the Supra, like, hands down. It just the way it looked good.
And we're talking about the Mark IV Supra,
Yes,
right?
so talking about Mark IV, it's gonna be the greatest generation Supra. It's the one everyone talks about. But Mark IV Supra, man,
The
hands
iconic
down. Of
2JZ,
course,
GT.
iconic 2JZ GT, the things that we know of now, right? Instead of changing the tune with sliders, we're
Mhm.
actually having to do it hands on. What about you? What was your favorite one?
So for me, it was the R34 Skyline.
You picked my favorite car, period.
Your
So
favorite car,
my favorite car, period. I don't care what anybody say, but if I
but
could live a second life, it would be as
both
Brian O'Connor's
honestly,
car.
both cars, the Supra and the Skyline, they're both timeless designs. They're
Yes,
both they're
absolutely.
both right out of the 90s.
Yes.
They still look amazing today.
Mhm.
Good luck finding one today,
Yeah.
in good condition.
Oh my God. I think what are they looking at price wise, man? If we Googled one right now, I'm pretty sure you're looking at 80 to 100 grand for
Oh, for
either one of
sure.
those cars original. Doesn't matter if it's left or right hand
And it
drive.
probably will need work too,
And it absolutely
Yeah.
needs work. Like, don't lie to you and say that weight reduction or turbo lag doesn't exist on those things, because that's a big thing. In Gran Turismo, for example, turbos had zero lag. Real life had different opinions. So I was like, one of
But
those things.
but for a 6-year-old, 7-year-old getting your first taste of cars
Yeah.
and being able to drive a car like that, that's something special, right? That's something that we've held on to for a long time,
Yeah.
30 years later, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and, even today, those cars still hold a special spot in our hearts, but back then, we didn't know much about them. They were just pretty looking cars,
Yeah,
like
they were like, if you saw one, it was a unicorn. And like when it came to unicorn, like I said, like you have this attraction, this magnetism towards it, and you were just like, oh hey, that Pokemon was cool. And then you were like, oh wait, hold on a second. That car took me way out of
yeah.
anything I ever thought of, and you're going from there. I think the like just relating it back to the Gran Turismo thing. So if you remember, like early in the game, it was kind of brutal. Like we had slow cars, bad tires, grinding those races just to
Yeah.
get parts. And it's like that reality kind of made us realize, or made me realize, what exactly it's like almost building your first tuner car. And
Yeah, you were
kind of
pretty much doing it in a video game.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? So it's like they put us in the seat of somebody, or like our future selves we didn't know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think my favorite thing about that was just how comparable, how we can look back on that and smile and be like, "This is fantastic!" Like, can't wait to add a PS1 to this guy and just play him while you're driving. I'll just be rocking.
Yeah. So what was it about the Supra in particular?
Man, I think it was just the way, you know what? And I'll tell you this. It wasn't the way it handled. It wasn't anything about it other than the fact that I beat my brother with that car.
Yeah.
Because he would choose the R34 for me. For some
Mhm.
reason, his chat, he just had better options. When I beat him the first time, it was in a Mark IV Supra, and I was like,
Yeah.
"The game's over." It was like the mic drop moment where you set it down, walk out of the room, and you just have to walk around the corner, letting him just sit in his anger for a little bit
Yeah.
when he realizes you just kicked his ass. So it's like it's that great moment, and I have fond memories. Like every now and then, I'll just call my brother and just be like, "Hey,
Just
remember that
call me like
yeah,
Supra and hang up.
exactly right." So it's like you remember that time where I whooped your ass in a Mark IV suit, like it's just funny stuff like that. But it's like it's learning about that, right? Learning those wins and really what those losses are. It taught you a little bit about life, like some
Yeah,
of some of
yeah.
those times that you could really focus on. And I think, like I said, the really fond memories we have with gaming really like stretch towards our lives right now, and it's why we're friends. It's how we kind of got into it, talking about cars off the bat, and now we're look at us now.
Yeah.
Episode 1 of Heat Suck, like just rocking this.
For sure, yeah. I think for me, at that young of an age, cars has always been like an appreciation of art, more
Yeah.
so just because as a kid, you don't really know much, right? I don't know anything technical. But I do know what looks good as a kid, and the Supra looked good, and an R34 looked good. So from there, it was just like, hey, this thing looks really good. Eventually, you grow up and you learn about cars. You learn how there's an engine inside of that car, right? You learn
Yeah.
how you can actually drive that car
Small
rather than
details that kind of
behind
led
the
up to it.
controller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so eventually you learn all the bits and pieces that go into a car.
Yeah,
And for me, looking back at everything now at the age that I'm currently at, it's just the overall appreciation of a car.
yeah.
It's an art, but it's also a science, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
involved in a car. In its purest form, it's just a piece of metal with an engine and four wheels, but it took a lot of people to design it. It took a lot of people to build it.
Absolutely,
It took a lot of
absolutely.
parts, all of that. I have that deep appreciation for now that
Yeah.
I'm older.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of respect that goes into that because beforehand we only had what 2D we were seeing, and even the option that we had right as we were started getting closer to the effects of how technology increased and everything. But we got to see that. I think that's what's special about it is
Yeah.
when they were developing this, they were raising a generation in cars and they didn't
Yeah.
realize it. So, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
if Gran Turismo raised you too, this podcast is for you. Like, this is exactly what we're talking about, but it kind of reflects back to exactly what we mean. Like, you're right, metal, four tires and a motor, but the fact that as we grow older and we got our first POS Honda or
Yeah.
POS Camry or whatever you got as your first car. No judgment if it was any of those cars because I had many of those. But it's like the first time you go, pop the hood or your car overheated and you start realizing all the
Yeah.
things that we know on the back of our hand now, water pump, as we go into things like that and what we need to use, why there's a color, what it's actually doing. It's learning the hows, the whys,
Hmm.
but it leads us right back to that our love of cars. Our
Yeah.
love of, growing up in the time where we had magazines. What's the magazine on your desk right now? It's
Yeah. Super Street.
Super
Got a
Street.
couple Super
Yeah.
Streets.
Super Street magazine. Like we had those delivered or picked them up at the store and we were showing our friends, like, could you believe this? We're like flipping through an actual page to get there. It wasn't actually something that we had
Yeah.
immediately off the top of our hands that we were working with.
For sure.
Yeah, I
And
agree with
that's
that.
that's how it all started for us, right? And I know it's the same way for like thousands of you guys out there. And that's what
Absolutely.
we aim to start this podcast to do, to share these moments, to relive these moments, essentially
Yeah,
talk
literally.
about it and just have fun.
Yeah, I just want to hear the high revs again.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I think believing in Gran Turismo for us back then, like I said, leading it right back to it, that was our first mistake.
Yeah.
It taught us exactly everything we wanted about it, but at the end of the day, we just realized exactly how much we didn't know about cars when I started getting into it. And I think that was stoked the fire of my passion for cars, my passion for working on them. The cussing, the bleeding,
Hmm.
the calling your friends and asking them, "Hey, you want to come over and help me with this small thing real quick?"
Yeah.
5 hours later and 3 boxes of pizza, it's almost done at midnight.
Almost done, right?
We're almost there. I promise. Like
Yeah.
it's exactly what all the experiences that we deal with is there, man. It started from the games. I
Yeah.
believe you on there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it. We still do it to this day, right?
Absolutely.
Yep, we still play video games to this day too, right?
I still have
Yeah.
a PS1 in my office
Oh, we have one right here.
yeah, you're right.
That is your PS1.
That's an emulator, but it does have PlayStation 1 games on it. But my PS1, man, if I had one of those games, which I don't at the moment, I would love to jump on and play.
And
I love the Need for Speeds, the Ridge
yeah,
Racers.
and that's so
That's it.
true because to this day, and you know it too. I have a sim rig in my office.
Oh yeah, yes you
Yeah,
do, and
like
I'm very
I
jealous of it.
I have evolved from a controller to an actual wheel and a seat
He
and
goes,
pedals.
this is too expensive, so I'm gonna buy a sim rig. If anybody knows what a sim rig costs, that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I
But
won't have to tell you.
like you just gotta point the two separate things. But at the end of the day, you chose the sim rig. You used to sim a lot, actually. You used
Oh
to race
yeah,
sim a lot, actually.
yeah,
But
for sure.
tell me about how you got into that one.
So it all goes back to the story of how I got into cars. at first it was just an aesthetic thing. It's just purely visual. Like that's all I can appreciate at that age. But eventually I got to the point where I could drive. You turn 16 years old, you get your permit, you want to be able to go places. So, I got the ability to drive in places. Now, what's next? What else can I do other than just drive a car and look at a car?
Yeah.
So became natural. Tuning cars,
Mhm.
picking up parts, pieces, getting rear sway bars, front sway bars, putting
Yep.
on
Yep.
coilovers, the springs, whatever it was just I just wanted to turn a wrench and I wanted to do it on a car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
I get that feeling.
yeah, we can go into a whole nother episode about that, but it was after that, what else can I do? I'm already driving a car, I'm already turning wrenches on a car, but what else can I do? Well, that's where I got into like racing cars. So for me, it was autocross is my first thing. It was a really low speed form of racing, but it
Yeah.
was fun. It was competitive. That was the
I
thing.
got you. I got
So
you.
I got into autocross. Eventually, I got into doing like track days, but it got really expensive. So
I
that's a whole
I hear
another
you. As
thing.
the second you start building a drift car, I realized that my wallet didn't match my
Yeah.
fucking mind.
So so
Excuse me, it didn't match my mind. So you're saying that? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm listening right. So the gateway drug for you was Gran Turismo, and it kind of led you to sim rigs and kind of brought you back into the racing sector.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
I just like having the ability to do something with my car,
Yeah,
right? We all like to have something that's pretty to look at.
of
There's
course.
art collectors out there, and nothing wrong with guys who have museums of cars.
Yeah,
But
absolutely,
but for me and you, we love the feeling of being behind the wheel in a
absolutely.
seat, getting thrown back, the G forces, the
Yeah,
sounds of the engine. That's what it's all all about for us,
absolutely.
right? So, money is the big thing, right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think you made a really good point. So, like, cars lead us to a couple different things, right? You said, just like you said, some people collect art. Some people have cars that are hands down 10 out of 10 immaculate on the
Mhm.
outside. The motor covers look pristine, everything's color matched. Inside is completely detailed. They got
Yep.
stars in the accents. They have, the radio that fits in with the dash is custom bezels, and we're seeing all of this, and it's their own style. That's what I love about cars is like they have an area for that within that
Yeah, it's
area.
it's almost a reflection of you as
It,
a person.
it, it's your personality within
Exactly.
something that you can say like, oh, that's mine. I'm really proud of that. Or people love to look at and ask you
Yeah.
questions about, and it's something you might be able to help someone out with. And I think something like that, like was huge for me growing up back in that. Like you had such a great point. I wanted to embellish on this is that car culture always had somebody in it, depending on whether you love the nicest cars ever with the nicest stuff, or you like the fastest cars, or you like something in between,
Mhm.
or you don't care what you drive. It could be a hoopty, but
Yeah.
that's your favorite style. Everyone had a beater at some point or a POS that could,
Oh, yeah,
was
for
rusting
sure.
off of the frame as you drove. But I think the fact that your personality inside of a car, whether you think that a Gretty sticker makes your car 10 plus horsepower, or a or a sound system made you get more girls, I think that personality and how people want to help people within the car realm, like
Yeah.
we all want to help each other, with their projects. Call me over anytime. I don't mind throwing a wrench or wrenching out, for a subframe that you
Yeah,
got
for
that you
sure.
got on the ground right here. He's like, "Yeah, I just got a small favor to ask," and then I'm sweating my ass off 20 minutes later. But, I think that's a really important, topic about car culture that a lot of people try to speak of, but that kinda doesn't get through all the time, is that factor that we all have our different personalities, but they all fit within that car culture, and it's something we can all enjoy together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's what took me into sim racing. So I was racing cars, but the money aspect, and the time aspect too, as we get older, you have girlfriends,
Mhm.
wives, boyfriends, whatever, your spouse, right? You're spending time with them. But then you're also working. You're
Yeah.
working your 5 days a week job.
Yeah.
Maybe you're working on weekends,
9 to 5 to 5 to 9.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like a time and a money thing, right? And you for me, that balance is really hard
Yeah.
to be able to drive to a track. You have to spend a couple hours to drive there, a couple
Yeah.
hours there, and
Yep.
another
That's right.
couple hours back on top of the costs involved with it, where
Oh yeah,
fuel,
you get
tires,
fuel. I was
maintenance,
gonna say you gotta
etc.,
invest in
track fees.
tires. You gotta get rims. You gotta make sure your
Yeah,
car's to spec. So before the inspection, prior to
right.
race, and you could have wasted a day. We
Exactly.
could have gotten there, and you're so excited, everything is good, and you fail the inspection, and you just don't
You
have what it
blow out a
requires to.
tire on
You
your way
blow out
there.
on the
Yeah.
way there. It just ends your whole time, and now you got to put one of those tires. And it just doesn't work out. Yeah.
But with the sim rig, you can just go over there, turn on your computer, turn on your Xbox, whatever you're doing. You can hop in the seat.
Yeah.
2 minutes later, you're ready to go.
That's true. That's true. I just laugh. I'm laughing because I just had a thought cross my mind, and it's like, sim rigs are the only place where $1,000 upgrades is described as entry level.
No,
And it's
yeah.
like,
It's not
it's just like I had that.
it's not
thought
a
cross
cheap
my
hobby at all. And as I'm
No,
describing how
no.
expensive it is to take a car to the
Oh,
track,
man.
this
Yeah.
this isn't really any better, but you do save some time though.
Yeah, I get it. No, and you know what? Is it worth that 1,000, right? To have something in your house where you can jump on, get your, it's like a drug,
Yeah.
But, once you hit the track the first time, you're like, I have to get back here. I really want to get back here and do this
Yeah.
again. I want to turn my car sideways. I want to beat that autocross time. I want to make sure, I'm hitting the limits, and I'm tuning this out, and I'm finding more of my power band or my low end, top
Yeah.
end. It doesn't matter where you're going. I think with SimRig, it does simplify that process. It's basically, oh man, what's the best way to put this? It's like gummies for weed. It's like instead of having to go out and buy the actual like flower or buy the actual thing, and I'm gonna leave that, I'm gonna cut this short real quick. But it's like it cuts off the middleman, and it gets to the simple part really easy. You know what I mean?
It does, but it also gives you a lot of variety too.
You get a different flavor.
Yeah, as us car guys, you wanna be able to drive a lot of cars. You want to see a lot of cars, and you want to go on a lot of racetracks.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's hard to do that, right? You have to
Yeah.
travel, you have to book flights, you have to figure out how to get into a car.
No,
If you're going to a track at Laguna
Yeah.
Seca, for example, in
Mhm.
California, you need to know someone out there
Yeah,
or rent a car.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you can easily hop on to like an Assetto Corsa or an
Yeah.
iRacing or something
Yeah,
like that, and you can hop into a Miata, or you can hop into an S2000, or you can hop into an AE86.
You're right.
The ability to do all of that right there. Now, it doesn't replace the real thing,
Of
being
course, no.
behind a car.
No, I think
the wheel.
I think and I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're right, real wheel. The one thing that everyone explains is the fact that like sim racing builds that muscle memory, but real driving actually builds that humility.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a real thought, and I like the point that you just made with that. So
But it allows you to get your fix in.
yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta get it. You gotta get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're making the itch. You gotta scratch that itch and get going. And I get it, man. I get it. So you evolved basically instead of.
Oh yeah.
We never changed. We never left Gran Turismo. It just sim racing just made it more expensive.
It evolved, yeah. It made it more expensive, and on top of the fact that I have a real car that I work on now
Yes,
too. So
yeah.
I have like no time to do
it's
anything.
it's like a double whammy. It's like the parts are coming in, but what can I do while I wait? I'm just gonna sit on my rig, and I want to go from there and wait for it. And
but we do it for the love of cars, right?
Oh, of course. There's no other. I mean, everyone has a passion, whether it be sports. Like we just listed some off, different cars, different people. I guess what I'm trying to say is the drive of the culture, or cars just period, is what we enjoy. It's what drives me, it's what drives you.
Yeah,
It's
for
how
sure.
we became friends. Like I said, it's how we developed this, and this is where we're at right now. It's how you saw this the first time we hung
Yeah.
out, and then
And I know for a fact we're not alone. There's
no.
there's thousands, millions of you guys
Millions,
out there,
hundreds
and
of millions of
that's why
people.
we're doing this, because we
Absolutely.
want to share that pure enjoyment, that love of cars and the car
Absolutely.
culture
Absolutely.
with everybody else out there.
But man, back to games, man. Was there any other like Ridge Racer that you got into like that?
I remember Burnout, right? Burnout. It was the NFL Blitz cars.
It was yes. It was like, oh my goodness. if you weren't playing Burnout just to get as fast as you could and break as much stuff as you possibly could, I don't think it was. I think I remember like Test Drive 5, all the test drives and stuff like that. But yeah, like I think anybody who grew up in that age, anybody playing racing games to this day, there's whole cultures involved. There's Reddit chains of just guys playing like Forza
Yeah.
Horizons and all the new, racing games coming out and just going from there. They just like the love of the drive, and that's why
You,
we're
you
here. We
know,
love for the culture.
you know what game had some like low key good cars in
What
it?
you got?
Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, all right. What was your favorite car in Grand Theft
Oh,
Auto?
so Grand Theft Auto couldn't have like real like cars like Toyotas and
No,
Nissans, but they had cars that looked exactly like those cars, so you
the
knew
the
exactly like
cheetah, the
yeah,
cheetah was
exactly.
so the cheetah was the greatest one, and that was you're right. Like they had little different ones like that. Oh yeah, I think what was the man?
There were even
The cheetah was like the Jaguar, but they did have a Supra oh, the new one has the Skyline, and it's called like the Elegy or something like that.
yeah.
And there's like a new one that's the MK4 Supra. I think it's like the Jester or something. But they all came out, and what's funny is they couldn't use the actual name. So
Oh yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, sure, we're just gonna develop our own names. Oh, Banshee.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah, the
was there was
Banshee.
a Viper, I think. I can't remember.
It was, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was the
There was like a car culture in that game too, and we're talking about all like pretty much all the Grand Theft
yeah.
Autos. Yeah, the car culture in those games like evolved to the point where you can get them modified in the game. You can go to paint shop in
That's
the
right.
game.
They realized how important there was a culture was around playing that game, like,
Yeah,
and realizing that car development and actually finding something that you like. Everyone has their own taste, their own style.
yeah,
Goes for. That's what I liked about it. I played it. It taught us JDM before we could pronounce half the names sometimes. So
yeah,
depending on where you were born, so it's just one of those things where I think, man, it's a bunch of fun. It's a bunch of fun. And you're 100% right. There's hundreds of millions of people that enjoy cars, have garages like this. You guys can't see what's around us, but we have CV axles. We're talking about oil pans. We can see
yeah.
multiple
We
things.
didn't even get into
Yeah,
it. We're like legit in my garage. This
Yeah.
is my home garage.
This is our first episode of our podcast, just
Yeah.
for our memory's sake. We're in KT's garage,
Right
That's
here.
the entire bottom end of his Lexus.
In Central Florida. Fortunately, it's not that hot today, but it will be in a couple of months.
It's the nicest probably day of the year. It's not too hot, not too cold. But dude, give us an update on this thing. Talk about the buying process. Talk about
Oh yeah,
how-
let's. So for all of you guys that don't know, this is a Lexus IS 300 back here. This is a 2003 model. So for me, the Lexus IS 300, when you first hear about that car, it's like nothing special to most
Yeah.
people. It's just a four-door Lexus sedan from 2003. But for me, it is special. So back to the video games, this car was one of the first cars I drove when I was playing Forza. I was playing Forza Motorsports on Xbox, and this car, just for whatever reason, it was the car in the game for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I loved the way it looked. At one point, I actually modified it in the game and added the 2JZ GTE, so it was twin turbo, and it was ridiculous to drive in that game. But
Yeah, how much traction did you actually
no,
get?
zero traction, zero. That was
in my head. I'm just like, you're just doing this the entire
yes,
time.
it was fishtailing the entire time, which also makes for a really fun drift car. That's why a lot of drift guys get into this car.
Yeah.
But that's how I got into this car. It was that game, Forza, and I played hours of that game using this car. And it was only because I just liked how it looked. I
Yeah.
just fell into that. But that was me in my teenage years.
Yeah.
Fast forward, whatever, 20 years later, and I'm like, I actually have money and I can buy a project now. What
Yeah.
should I get? And that nostalgia kicked in. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, an IS 300 is actually attainable nowadays. They're not very expensive. And being in Florida, there's actually a ton of them around here in Florida, surprisingly. So I looked on Marketplace. I found a decent one. It wasn't, great, and I wasn't gonna buy a show car either. But I found one that I knew that I could work on.
Yep.
So I reached out to the guy. We made a deal, and I ended up with this guy back in November of 2024. So it's been sitting here for a while, actually. You
to,
guys may
to,
not be able to
to,
see it, but yeah,
to the other half's hatred, this thing has taken up the garage.
yes.
But like once again, like what can we say to that? Welcome back to car culture. This thing's taking over my garage. There's parts lying everywhere, but it's the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah, I love working on this car, even if it's for 3 hours on a Saturday morning, because that's all the time I can afford.
Yeah.
But that 3 hours is pure bliss.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds you why you enjoy it, even though you're cussing, banging knuckles, busted knuckles. How many times have we done that on it? It's funny is like I'm remembering the S classes on the Forza, and of course we lead back to like my favorite car ever, the Skyline G, the R34. And it's like I think because I had my own project prior to this. You talk about your love for this. I had my '93 325i, my Beamer. I was
Yep,
turning into a drift
an E36.
monster that I was, calling it, but it was really more of like a kitten. But it was I bought it not even running for like $300.
Yeah.
And you're like, and it's like when you had it, it's a long time ago, but when you have it and you're doing this and you finally get it running, it's like an achievement. It's like
Oh,
you
yeah.
unlock an achievement. The factor pops up underneath you where it goes, makes the sound and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Like, and you're just basically, it's a default answer when it comes to cars. I don't care if it's, sometimes I don't care if it's running. It depends on what level you're at, right? If you have some knowledge of motors, some
Mhm.
knowledge of exhaust, some knowledge of, how to figure out what's actually wrong with it. If you can troubleshoot to the fuel, to the spark, to
Yeah,
whatever you need, timing, pull an engine, pull a motor, open up a head. There's different levels to this in every type of way. And I think discovering where my level stops
yeah.
has been like the funnest thing where when I get into AC and I'm like, yeah, I want to give this a shot, and I'm just like, no, it wasn't worth it. Like, when you think back to it, you're like, you tried everything, you tried so hard, and then like you call a buddy and he's like, you see this little you're missing this thing right here, and it's one part, and you're just like, yeah, I know where my limit is now. I'm never gonna touch AC. I'm just gonna yank it out for more
Mhm.
horsepower and go from there.
I mean, you said it the best. It's like little micro achievements as you
Yeah,
work on cars. Similar to video games, when you do something, you get the little achievement. Maybe you collect 10 of these coins or something, but there's like 100 out there. So like every 10 you collect, you get a little achievement, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's like what it is when you're building a car.
yeah.
Like nobody builds a car in one day.
No,
You don't buy the car and then you put a new engine, you put new suspension. You don't
yeah,
do all of that in one day. You have these little milestones that you hit,
yeah,
and for me, that's kinda how this car has been,
yeah,
right? It's been over a year,
yeah,
and, I've only had the front suspension redone. I just telling you that the rear fuel system got sorted out. I still need to put together the rear suspension, so put the
exactly.
subframe back
Yeah,
in, get the diff in there, the axles,
yeah.
all the control arms. But all of that, they're just little achievements on my way to getting the whole big picture done, which is
Yes.
the entire car.
Yeah, exactly. I was telling you just a second ago, I said, listen, you're going to have the prettiest undercarriage that
Yeah.
nobody's ever going to see. I said, so it's going to be one of those things
I'm gonna
where,
make it a point to go to shops and be like, "Hey, can you
you
lift
know,
this up
you know what
and
I'm gonna
check
buy you?
something
I'm
under
gonna
there for
buy
me?"
you for your birthday. I'm just gonna get you a giant mirror the size of the
On
car,
my garage
and we're
floor.
just gonna slide
Yeah.
it underneath and be like, and just make as much possible to like, so people can go to car shows and just see what you've done with underneath this thing, and like like mainly hand tools. Like you've
Yeah.
really ripped this thing completely out and redone it, wired wheel parts with a little bit of rust, cleaned everything up,
Yeah,
put
for
everything
sure.
back. It's been a labor of love for you.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's exactly what a lot of people feel like because, okay, so when it comes to stuff like this, right? And it comes to like the shows that we watch where people are like, hey, I'll give you $70,000 or $50,000 and you just redo or get me a car.
Yeah.
But like in reality, right, where we live, not in the video game, not what video games taught us is this is a labor of love. It's a step by step process.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
the love that we have for these cars that we developed, and it's the hard work and effort we really put towards it that
Yeah,
I really find
it's
this.
just that much more gratifying when you can see things, like, slowly get transformed on the car.
Yeah,
Things that get checked off a list that you have developed, and this is also not a knock for people out there who don't have the skill and they pay a mechanic to fix a car. There's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
no.
But you had a vision and you're
Yeah.
executing that vision, and that's the most important thing. So for me, I personally like wrenching on my cars.
Yeah.
I'm not a mechanic. Like I don't have that sort of
I
training,
don't have
right?
ASC certification.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we just
But
make stuff
for
apart.
us, we watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I think more
Shout out
importantly,
Chris Fix,
yeah,
man. Like,
we're
like,
just genuinely interested in picking up tools and turning wrenches and doing it ourselves. We're
yeah,
learning along the way, and that's what it is for me. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'll figure it out, right? I'll
right,
make
yeah.
mistakes along the way, but I'll figure it out because I find enjoyment in doing that too.
Absolutely. And I think dude, you had such a good point a second ago. Like, there's no hate to anybody that actually goes to a mechanic and pays for the upgrades or goes to a shop or makes friends with somebody who knows somebody or does it themselves. Like, it depends on, like we were talking about earlier, your skill level with this
Yeah,
stuff. Do you have the time? Do you have the money? Or, or do you have the parts available? Like, it's just one of those factors you have to choose from, that you have to eliminate one of them. If you have the money, you don't have the time, you have the parts, have the parts, but you don't have the money,
yeah,
you don't have time because you're working for what you just
exactly.
paid. So it's like that factor that I like about it. Now, will you get judgment if you send
Yeah.
your car to a mechanic and have a part put on when you have a buddy that knows how to do it? Absolutely. I'm gonna judge you so hard. I'm gonna judge you so hard if you go to a mechanic if you knew somebody who had to do it. Now it's just about the call, but some people don't have that option, and I get
Yeah.
that. I respect anybody who has just a love for cars, anybody who enjoys the culture, who takes care of the next generation, or just helps other people get into that, helps other people really recognize what this is and what we're fighting for here. I mean, we say fighting for, but it's something that we've grown to genuinely love and enjoy, and it's what we talk about with other people on a daily basis. It's
Yeah,
something
I
that
mean,
we live.
for us, it's a lifelong sort of hobby, and you can probably say it's more than a hobby, or it's a
Yeah,
passion,
absolutely.
but it spawns a lot of different things too. So for me, like the sim racing thing, that comes from cars.
Yeah.
So the video game aspect relates to cars, but those are two separate hobbies. I also like working with my hands, building things,
Yep.
and I get to use that particular skill set and hobby on my car. So the idea of a car just being an object that gets you from point A to point B, for us, it's way more than that.
No, absolutely. Like I think one of the very first conversations that we had was the fact that when you put together something with your hands, you put a little bit of your soul into it. This sounds cheesy, it sounds
Yeah.
corny, but like at the end of the day, is it true? I think so, absolutely, in my opinion. Like I think when you build something with your hands, like when you build a play set for your kids or for your nephews, for you're helping somebody put a fence up in their yard who's too old to do it, like you're putting a piece of yourself into that process, into the building. And I think with cars, every person, no matter if you buying the car and going from there, you have that in your head, that actual process, that piece of yourself that you invested into that project.
Yeah,
Even
for
if you
sure.
sold it or gave it away and have that regret that, oh, I never should have sold my Beamer.
Well, it's
I should have kept all those
yeah,
parts I put into
the memories associated with that too. Like
yeah,
the
exactly.
fact that you still remember your E36, like to other people, it may just be an appliance. It may just be an object that, like, hey, I had it for 6 months and now I don't anymore, whatever. But to us, it's like, hey, I remember that. I still talk about that to this day.
Well, I think everyone has that one that got away, right? And
Yeah.
like, but and it wasn't the Beamer for me. It was many other cars ago. But like, it's one of those where you feel like, I picked up this E36 for nothing. I built it into this. It was basically a couple $100 away from being a track ready drift car, and it
Hmm.
was like I was missing seat belts and a floor pan, and I was like, whatever, we're just gonna rock without it.
Yeah.
And like, and so but it was one of those
Oh yeah,
things where
your wife was telling me that like the passenger floor, like Flintstone style, it's like your feet could be
like
like
it was one of those
dangling
things.
out of there.
It was one of those things where it's like Gran Turismo and Forza told us that weight reduction was the best thing ever. And then you rip everything out of your car and you're just like, I regret everything now. That's exactly what it was. But it's like it's exactly like what occurred. Like I ripped everything out. I really dove into the motor. I
Mhm.
redid the valves, I readjusted, making sure everything was just perfect. I got the of course, I'm gonna say this wrong and no judgment for those viewers and everything, but the red label ECU, which it wasn't a OBD2, it was an OBD1. I plugged that in and automatically, revs got speedier, everything, you started seeing just more response. I cleaned up the throttle, everything was just exactly how I needed it. I had an M3 rear end on the back of it
Oh,
that
nice.
was
Yeah.
fitting up. It took a couple of like little balances to get it right. But it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, it was your
And
vision that you were executing.
it really was. I had to put all that time, and I remember the headache on the rear end was just to get it right. It was a lot of like friends coming over, a lot of labor, a lot of mess ups, a lot of headaches, a lot of like real frustrating times. A lot of cheap pizza
Yeah.
and just crappy beer and like just friends that I like I said, man, like will always be in your good faith that will just be there for you, that love just for the culture. But the day I got rid of it, you're right. That regret stays with me for a while, man. That could have been something that, we could have rode around in. Could have been a beater.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't care if that car caught fire while I owned it, but the fact that I gave it up, that's where it was for me. I had a lot invested in that, a lot of time, but you got to make peace with that. And that's where that car culture can come back around. And now I'm looking for my next one. So,
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
hopefully you guys can see that evolution, and that's gonna be the fun part. You guys are gonna see the evolution of kids.
Yeah, so if you guys have any ideas for Chris's, project car.
All right, hold on. I have rules for this, and we're gonna talk about it.
He loves boxer engines.
No, first off, if we're gonna get into that, we're gonna have a physical altercation. And I hate boxer engines. It's the worst thing ever made. I think my limit, it would have to be something, of course, rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. And I'm looking like V6 or something turbo to this
Okay.
point. But if it's a POS or a Hoop D, and it's something that motor doesn't work, but it's got a good solid frame, that's where that love comes in, and I'll be like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
this will buff out." It's like a panel that's just completely warped, and you're like, "This will buff out." But no, it's finding that next hidden gem. I think that's gonna be the next fun thing that
For
I'm looking
sure,
for.
there's so many options out there, and
Oh yeah,
that's why we love cars, honestly. There's
absolutely.
so many different options from an aesthetic point of view, from a mechanical point of view.
Yeah,
So yeah, for me, that's how I got into my car.
yeah.
Forza was the origin story for this car, and many years later, I was able to finally get my hands on this. So this is a 2003 Lexus IS 300. It's the sport design package, which honestly really is just a appearance package.
I was gonna
You get
say.
this nice thundercloud metallic paint, which is cool, I think, but it
Yes, he
looks
he knows the paint code,
pretty
everybody. He
dirty.
knows the
But
paint
but it's also a 5-speed manual transmission, so a little hard to find those out there.
Save the manuals. Save the manuals. Absolutely. I'm all for it, dude. All for it. But
For those of you who don't know, it has the somewhat iconic 2JZ engine. I only say somewhat because it's the GE, the non-turbo.
someone iconic, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
How
non-turbo.
did I know you were going there though? Like I was just like, it's coming. It was like waiting for the shot. Go ahead, continue.
Maybe one day it will be turboed. Not maybe, it will one day be turboed.
Okay, and we all knew that was coming. See, I think the first little difference was like Forza, for example, the turbo. Like they taught us that engine swaps take somewhere around 10 seconds, and real engine swaps are like take months,
Oh yeah,
and it takes your
a
sanity
click
away.
of a button and like $10,000 worth of artificial money.
Yeah, that's basically, you were like, oh, it's the easiest thing ever.
I'll just go win another race,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll get a $10,000 pocket.
And then you do your first one, and then your next one comes around, and you're like, how much can I sell my left nut for? How much how much help can I buy while doing this? And you actually think about it, and it's sometimes they're not that bad, but I've been involved in some, man, that are just, it's the worst thing ever. Like any Subaru, you know who you are. Like, it's no, some are fun, some are easy, but some are just too crazy to get into. And when you get started, it takes those months, it takes those paychecks, those
Oh yeah.
turnarounds, those one bolt you're missing, the shearing off of, something to get it out. It's the fun part about cars. It's the saddest part, but it's those memories that we keep forever, like
Yeah.
that really like brings us back to it. You're like, oh, I'm not doing another engine swap. I'm not doing another engine swap. And then you're like, hey Chris, you want to do that engine swap? Yeah, sure, man. Let's go do it.
We'll
Like,
do it on
yeah,
your car, not my car.
do I absolutely hate it? Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, we're probably doing a swap. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Something, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Whether we're going LS or something again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you stuff like a V8 into something. Like we'll
Yeah,
get you
I'd love to.
we'll get him a BRZ and stuff a V8 in there.
See, actually, that would be the only thing. I see. I could do that. I could figure
Okay.
something. I don't know. It would take a lot, and I don't. We're gonna might need some shops help to really help us out with that, some fab work. But that'd probably be an interesting swap. Take a BRZ, like car like that.
Yeah,
Put a nice V8 in that little LS.
I
Look at
like it.
that.
I mean, as we go through our podcast and we continue, you guys will be updated on this car.
Yes.
We're shooting in my garage, like we said, so this is our
Yeah.
scene right here.
Yeah, so this is you might even see us like put up some videos possibly in the future of us doing add-ons or other things to the car. Eventually, if my car comes, it'll be something that we're gonna go with. I think, like I said, this podcast and Heat Soaked was something that me and KT, talked about our love for cars and what it means to us, and it's something we want to share with other people and really get on topic. So if you guys have any ideas, something you want to talk about, something you want to bring up of the real side of the Florida side of the car culture, bring it up, comment, leave a like,
Yeah, for sure.
and that's why we're here, man. That's why Heat Soaked is a thing. We're gonna be doing car shows hopefully in the future, seeing how this develops, and this is how exactly we're gonna evolve. But we're doing everything for the culture, Florida car culture. We're gonna stick around the '90s and 2000s, maybe something more recent if we find something we really like in it. But we like our roots.
Yeah,
We like
that's
where we're
what
going.
we grew up on.
Absolutely. I think it's important to us, and just like it is for, our each of our identities with our cars, it's important to us. And it's important that, for example, like my son sees the culture, that the brotherhood that is a car culture of Florida,
Yeah.
the guys that get all together, have a barbecue, actually start working on the cars. It's important that we pass that on, and it's something for us. And we'll talk more about that as we kind of come up, that's
Yeah, for
something.
sure. I feel like, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this podcast, and I hope all you guys out there are gonna have a lot of fun with us.
Yeah.
There's gonna be way more episodes to come, way more topics.
Yes,
But
yes. Some absolutely silly, some serious and down to earth like this, but this is something we came up with, guys. Like I said, it's episode 1, and we hope you like it. Hope it's
yeah,
something you enjoy.
this is us, Heat Soaked. I'm KT. That's Chris. And
Yeah, Chris and KT back from Hate Soap, guys. Thank you so much. And
yeah, make
subscribe,
sure to
like it.
subscribe,
Leave
like,
us- leave-
comment,
leave-
follow us on socials,
leave-
all of that stuff.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
everyone. It's Heat Soaked FL. So everybody check that out. All right. See
All
ya.
right. See you guys.
Forgot to do an intro. It was something I had written like a while back. I had on my notes here. It's
You can intro it right now.
no, dude. I'll
Cut it
intro
into the
right now.
beginning.
What's up, guys? I'm Chris. This is KT, and this is Heat Soaked. We come from an era where every friend had a daily, a project, and a parts car, and none of them ran. Welcome to Heat Soaked. Oh man, fun stuff like that. That's hilarious.